something with maybe like a fireplacey smoky note in the background,
Mm.
something that feels like a nice place to curl up that you would really focus on writing and that kind of thing. I think like a smoky parchmenty with like a hint of cedar and leather in the background for the bookcases and that kind of thing. I think that would be your candle.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Writing Our Own Story, Small Business Life at StoryForge special guest series. Um, if you're not familiar with us, we are StoryForge. We are a reading and writing program uh, who's looking to revolutionize the publishing industry through a gamified writing platform. Uh, if you aren't familiar with us, please check us out at storyforge.com. If you are a new user, please use referral code podcast to get a free 50 quills, which is our on platform currency. My name is Tim, and I will be your host today. I'm the Senior Director of Operations and Project Management here at StoryForge. Joining me today is Beatrice, who is our Senior Director of Marketing. And our special guest today is Kate Glass, who is the owner and founder of Briarwick Candles. Briarwick Candles aim to capture the essence of characters and settings from your favorite fantasy and romance series. Okay, so we're just going to dive right into this. Kate, it is
Yeah.
a pleasure to have you on. I am so interested. How did you discover this? Like, how did you just, were you just one day like, I can make a candle that smelled like this book series? Like, just explain where the genesis came from. Like, we
So
need to know.
it started I love to read. I've always loved to read.
Okay.
And my husband was busy doing his hobbies. He's a major Warhammer player at the time, and I always called myself a Warhammer widow because I was home on the weekends while he
Hmm.
was out playing games, and I wanted to do something just sort of fun. And I had seen other people um, trying to sort of make candles based on books, and I thought that sounded like a really fun hobby. I had zero notion that this would turn into a business, but I thought it just sounded like a fun challenge to try and take something conceptual from a book and try and make it into like a physical item. So I just started playing around with it in my kitchen. I put a couple of them on Etsy, and the first few sold almost immediately. Like there was definitely a market for this. So I thought it would be a fun hobby. I was working in office admin at the time, which is not a great outlet for creativity.
Yeah.
Um, so I just kept doing it. And then for 2 years or so, it was just a hobby to do on the
Hmm.
weekends. And then COVID hit, and there was a huge push for supporting small businesses. There was a
Hmm.
huge push to try and make your home space where you were locked down in be nice, smell nice. And it went through the roof. I went from like a few orders a week to like hundreds of orders in a
Wow.
week. And I was able to get a small like warehouse space, so I didn't have to keep doing it in my kitchen.
Nice.
Because that was kind of a rough while to have a whole
Mm.
small business happening in
Yeah.
your kitchen. Um, and it just kept growing. And now we're in a 3,000 square foot warehouse. I have a staff
Nice.
of five other people. Um, and I was able to quit my admin job and
Awesome.
do this full time.
That is the most important part is quitting that
Yeah.
admin job.
Yes.
So was the idea was always books though? Like it was never like I can just make candles. It's like I want to base it off of books.
So it always was mostly books. I
Okay.
looked into like movies and TV shows and that kind
Mm.
of stuff. But with books, there's a much sort of closer relationship with the people who create them.
Okay.
We started when I first started, I really didn't know what I was doing. So I was saying that they were inspired by the
Hmm.
authors, but I wasn't reaching out to anybody or I didn't have any sort of official permission or anything. That's all changed. We are 100% officially licensed with authors and publishers for any character or world that you recognize. We work with agents now
Wow.
and we work with the authors themselves,
Okay.
um, which has been incredible. I've gotten to meet some of my favorite authors, and people actually know who we are even before I introduce myself. They go, "Oh, yeah, we already have your candles." And that's just mind
Nice.
blowing. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, it was always books. I just loved reading. I've always loved reading. And then I discovered that I could claim book buying as a tax write-off. Um, and that was huge.
Yeah, don't we all wish we could do that?
Yeah.
Um, so you had no background in making candles before. You're just like, I can
Nope.
do this. I'm
Yeah.
awesome. Just check this out.
It was never supposed to be something I was going to sell. It was really just for me.
Mhm.
Um, to have them. I loved candles. I loved books. So I thought it just seemed like a fun hobby. It was never supposed to be this. This was beyond my wildest dreams. So yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, so we gotta ask, what was the first candle? What was the first one you tried, and what was the first successful one that you made?
So that's a really good question. I don't truthfully don't remember a lot of the unsuccessful ones. Um,
Fair.
it was a lot of just trial and error of stuff that worked. My family and friends at one point were really sick of getting candles. They're just like, please stop giving them to us. At my office admin job, I was the only woman in the whole building. It was a bunch of guys. It was an airsoft company, so it was like a sort of
Mm.
manly man thing. And surprisingly, they loved candles. They loved getting the candles. They loved testing them. I would bring them in to like have them sample them all, and they were really excited about it. But I think one of the first series was A Court of Thorn and Roses. Resand has been our number one seller for 6.5 years, for 6 years. Last
That
year he
makes
was
a lot of
dethroned.
sense.
Yeah, he was dethroned this past year by Zayden from Fourth Wing. Um,
That also
but
makes a lot of sense.
yeah,
Hmm.
so he was definitely one of the first. And then when we first started, we weren't licensed with Sarah J. Moss, but we are now. So we work with the publisher and her team to make a whole line of Akatar and Throne of Glass candles.
That's that's very
Amazing.
cool.
Yeah.
So, do you reach out? So I guess the process back then was different, but now, so
Yeah.
the process now would be, do you come up with an idea and reach out to the author, or does the author reach out to you, or which way does that transaction happen?
So it can go both ways. Usually, if we read a book and we love it, we just reach out to the author. We try and find their agent or their publisher, and just reach out and gush about the book. We go, look, we love your book, and we stayed up all night reading it, and we think this could be a really cool idea for a candle. We have sort of become the book boyfriend uh, company. Most of our candles are the guys from the series. So that's
Mm.
usually like our top sellers are all the fictional men. One
Can
one
believe
of our
that.
slogans is fictional men smell better, which is true.
I mean, yeah, it's probably true.
Yeah. I wanted
So
to
yeah,
ask you, I know, oh, sorry, I didn't want to
no.
interrupt you. I'm fangirling. I'm sorry. I think it's very impressive, everything you've done. I just wanted to ask you which one was your favorite one.
So I go through phases. Resand will always be one of my favorites just because he was like our first major success. And also I love his character. He's one of my favorites. But my personal favorite candle is actually, wait, I have it here, is fan fiction because
How
I
does
am
it
an old
smell?
school like internet nerd. So it's lemon, limes, and grapefruits, which is like the citrus scale of fan fiction from back in the day.
That is so cool.
Oh, that's awesome. So, walk us through the process of
Yeah.
how you create these scents. Like I don't even know how to ask the question. Like I can't even fathom how this is done. Like how do you just decide on, discover them? Like it's just, do you like read a book like, yeah, that dude smells like leather and sand.
I mean, pretty much. A lot of times, like the text will have like a specific scent description, like he smells like pine and snow, or
Hmm.
he smells like citrus, and
Okay.
um, a lot of times it's not that specific. Sometimes it's just like he smelled like man. That's a really common one, and we're like we have to figure out what to do with that. Other times we base it on if there's like a pivotal scene in the book, like over wine, or if there's a scene involving, I don't know, like chocolate cake, or we pick like specific scent cues or emotional cues from the story to kind of build around. And then we have I think we're up to 700 different fragrance oils now, and we'll blend at least three together to create something that's totally custom. Um, and then we make a whole bunch of testers of different variations on like a theme. And then we open it up to our friends and family to do like a sniff test. And then we vote to figure out like what is appealing to the most people. And then we go from there.
Now, do you see what's appealing to the most people that have read the book, or just generally appealing to the most people?
It depends.
Okay.
Usually it'll end up being the same kind of thing.
Mhm.
But sometimes we'll be completely split, and then I'll be like, no, I read the book, so we're going with this scent because to me it works better for the character, the scene.
I mean, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Future Saint questions? I know I've kind of
Um,
run
I
away with
mean,
this.
it's so cool. I just find that it's so cool, and I just realized that my camera is a little bit blurry, and I'm annoyed at that. I was gonna ask you also, how do you decide on scents that are more generally bookish inspired? Because I was stalking your site because that's what I do, and you have mythology stuff. You have like, yeah, classic literature things, but you also have like the fan fiction one. You have tropes. I spied with my eyes that you have fake dating behind you.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, when it's book tropes and all of that, how do you decide on those very abstract, very like wide range kind of like situations, some tropes or genres or whatever? What would be the combination of scents that people would feel more identified with whenever they smell the thing?
Yeah. Sometimes, I mean, it entirely depends. Sometimes if we're working like enemies to lovers was one we struggled with for a little while to try and like really pick a scent for that. But we decided for something really spicy, because we felt that that would be a good way to kind of encapsulate like enemies to lovers and make it spicy. Sometimes we like in the process of doing testers, we come up with a scent combination we really like. It doesn't necessarily fit that character at that time, but we hang on to that recipe and then we go, we really want to have a candle that smells like this. You know, we don't have anything that's like coffee scented in the line right now or anything like that. And we go, what trope do we think would fit this scent? Um, just because we really liked how it smells. Excuse me. So it's just a different process for each one. Sometimes I just open it up to, I have three people in production. I go, hey, we want to have something that smells bright and fun for like friends to lovers or something like that. And then everybody gets to be creative and come up with different scent combinations that I never would have thought of. And then we just kind of pick kind of what we like.
I love that. I also had another question. I'm just very curious about
Yeah,
everything
of
because I
course.
find this whole process fascinating. Also, I'm a very like all the senses kind of person, so I really like
Yeah.
smell too, perfumes and candles and stuff. Which kind of sucks because I have a bird, so I can't actually cannot own candles, and it's
Yeah.
my heart gets sad about it. But what would be I don't want to say like a favorite book because that's like such a hard question, but like
Yeah.
a book that you absolutely love, and it can be a book or a series that you haven't made candles for yet, and you would love to make like a either a single scent or like an entire line inspired by
That's a really good question too.
it.
There's several series that I would absolutely love to like have a license for. But one of the problems that we face is usually when a book series is huge and their people are talking to like movies and TV, then licensing gets infinitely more complicated.
Mm.
Um, One of the ones I would love to do because it was one of the first sort of fantasy books that I truly fell in love with is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. Um, I love Kaz Brecker. I think he would make a fantastic line. We used to have some inspired by, but not officially licensed years ago. But because of the TV show on Netflix, it's a whole different kind of thing.
Ooh,
But that's one that I would absolutely love to have in the shop.
that would be so cool.
Yeah.
I think you can. I my last question was, do you have, because I've stalked you, but like I haven't stalked you that much. Do you have a way for smaller authors, so like independent authors, that maybe they would
Yes.
want to like custom, like order a candle with
Yeah.
you?
Absolutely. So we love working with indie authors. We do offer a number of their candles on our site. We also offer like bulk custom candles for authors that have done for promos or like for shows or ARC boxes, anything like that. We absolutely love it. We also do offer on our site like a one-off candle. So if you just want something inspired by a book we don't have, or if you want to get something for, you know, someone for their birthday, we make like as few as one custom candle, and they're super fun to do because we get to be creative and try and create a new scent without having like the whole figuring out how to launch it and do all that kind of stuff. But we love working with authors and indie authors in particular. Um, we're not only like trying to get the best sellers. We just love working with authors. We've actually had a couple indie authors come here to the shop and work with us to actually create custom candles based on their books here with
Oh, that's
us.
super cool.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
That would be. I don't think I could even fathom trying to do that. I'd be like, here's read my book and make me a candle. Like that. I don't think I could. So what do you think, which candle do you think was the hardest to create? Like which one did it take the longest for the scents to come together?
There have been a few that have been really difficult. One of ours, we have one called Dark Academia
Hmm.
that ended up smelling like molasses and burnt sugar and secrets. And it ended up coming together really well, but it was a struggle to kind of create something sort of dark and spooky and really unique. But I'm really proud of that one because it's one of our most unique smelling candles. I've never smelled a candle um, that's anything close to that one. That one's one of my favorites.
All right, I'm curious. I'm just gonna, maybe leave that tab open on my browser for now. Um, so kind of pivoting from the whole creative process. So,
Yeah,
StoryForge, small company, kind of a niche business. We're a writing platform. We were trying to gamify the whole thing, helping people who, maybe aren't recognized by your normal publishing house get recognized, get published.
yeah,
Um, Candles that smell like books, kind of also a niche field.
yeah.
What were some of the challenges you faced kind of getting off the ground in a field that's, I mean, I would dare say populated by like a dozen companies tops. I mean, I could be wrong there, but like, how did you go about creating it and building this in such a unique field?
So a lot of it was luck, I'll be honest with you.
Hey, nothing
Like
wrong
I
with
said,
that.
I didn't start out to really do this.
Hmm.
But a couple of years ago, I brought on our marketing director, Rihanna, who is a wizard at social media. I don't do social media. That's not my thing at all. I hate it. And she's gotten us on TikTok and Instagram, and we've gotten a lot of exposure and everything there. We've had a couple of TikToks like blow up. We've also gotten a number of people who did like reviews that went
Hmm.
through the roof. We had one that was like 1.5 million.
Oh, dang.
Um, so yeah, it was crazy. And we've had a pretty strong like rep program where we pick a couple of people every quarter and then we send them free candles and they do a lot of posts and everything. And that's been really good for us. The other thing that we've started doing more in the last couple of years is attending events.
Okay.
There's a lot of book conventions, especially romance ones, uh, that we've gone to and that we've sold at. And one of the things we do when we go to them is one of us stays back and runs the booth, and then the other one goes and visits as many authors as possible. And we try and make custom candles for those authors. So we visit them and we get our book signed and we go, hey, we've made you this candle. We love your series. We love your book. And that's been great for us because then the authors post about our candles and we get to post about the authors. Um, and so that's one of the ways that we've been trying to really like find our people.
Okay. That's really helpful. Yeah, because I mean, there's a ton of small businesses out there, and everyone's trying to create a unique idea,
Yeah.
and sometimes you get too unique, and it's like, how do you find that reach? Like, that's something that Beatrice and I work on every day is trying to figure out how to reach more people, how to. I mean, it's a little. Guess I don't know. I was gonna say it might be a little easier to explain. You have a candle that smells like a book, but really, it's not. Like that's actually probably more complicated to explain than, hey, we have a platform that you can write your books on and get published. But
Yeah. Yeah,
Beatrice,
we've gotten a lot of people that are like, you do what? And that there's a business there, and we're like, yeah, there actually is.
yeah, we were looking at the form when you do when we first did the outreach for guest spots. We were like, candles that smell like books, like they just smell like pages, and we're like, oh no, they smell like book series. Okay, that's okay. Yeah, she's at the top of the list. We're talking to her, so.
It was
Thank you.
fascinating.
Yeah, we spent a while sending links around in the Slack of like, oh, look at this, like this is interesting. And I will admit I haven't read a lot of the book series, but I know most of them.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's just like I kind of almost want to like read the book now and then go back and smell the candle and see like if it jives in my mind or here's a question for you. Would it be better to read the book than smell the candle or have the candle going while I read the book?
So definitely have the candle going when
Okay.
you read the book. Yeah. Especially the ones that are based on like the world itself. Like for
Mhm.
Akatar, we have Night Court and Valaris, and you can really kind of pretend that you're there, and it's an immersive thing to be
That's
able to
so
smell it while
cool.
you're reading scenes set in place.
Ah, that's so cool.
Do you think you could ever jump to another genre? Because I know it's mostly like fantasy, romantasy, that kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
is it possible to jump to like science fiction, or is that too kind of like metallic, sciency?
So that's the issue, right? With romance and fantasy, there's a lot of places you'd kind of want to go.
Mhm.
With stuff like sci-fi, very difficult to make a spaceship candle. We've tried. And we've also had a couple people who were like, "Have you ever considered doing thrillers?" And we're like, "No, because they would smell like murder, and that
Yeah,
wouldn't be a nice candle either."
I mean,
Um,
there's a market for that, I'm sure.
yeah, I'm sure there is. But no, we've done several like customs for authors that are more science fiction or more thriller and that kind of thing. Most of the books, all of the books, are just books I like reading. Is pretty much the thing, and this is my favorite genre, so that's where I've kind of stayed. But I would totally be open to branching out in the future.
Nice. Um, Crap, another question and it just slipped my mind. Oh, actually, no, I remember. So tying it back to like the book world and social media, like things blow up so fast
Yeah,
on like book talk, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, and things can be kind of really like flash in the pan, almost like this book is really hot for like 3 weeks and then it's just gone.
yeah.
Now, as someone whose creative process takes, I don't know, I'm guessing weeks, if not longer,
Yeah.
how do you compensate for that?
So it's a mix of stuff. One of the things that we're looking into doing in the coming year is a little bit more focus on like contemporary romances. And the thing about contemporary romances is that they're one and done. There's no like ongoing
Yeah.
series.
Mhm.
So we're looking more into doing like a limited time launch. We just
Mm.
I can't tell you which ones, but we've just signed a couple licensing deals this week, actually.
Nice.
So we're looking to do a more limited time thing where it's just
Congrats.
thank you very much. Yes, I'm very excited. But yeah, to do like a limited time thing where it's only available for a month or two, and then maybe we'll do a different candle from their back catalog, or like because contemporary romance fans are rabid, but there's no like ongoing desire for those candles like there is for a fantasy series that's still got books coming out in the next couple of years. Um, so that's one of the things that we're looking to try a different sort of release strategy for one-off books. Um, but we're trying to stay on the pulse of what everybody's excited about, what we're excited about, because we've started building relationships with agents and publishers. We're starting to get ARCs and books that aren't out
Mm,
yet that we can kind of get ready to have something in a
Oh,
couple of
that's
months
great.
launch, which is really cool. Yeah,
that's super handy.
yeah.
Um, Trying to think. Beatrice, any other thoughts, questions here? Your answers have
I
all been so thorough. It's hard to keep coming up with questions because you keep answering my questions in advance.
Thank you.
I think it's just very um worth of admiration. Just coming up with an idea of like, oh, I want to do this hobby, this one thing that I just want to do for fun, and then being able to make it into a business that I consider a big business. Like if you're able to license with authors like Serge Mas, it's a big
Hmm.
business in my opinion. And it even like you follow your passion, and that is something that I admire a lot and that I am very passionate about as well, because I see a lot of people in the industry and like the intersectional like industries as well of like publishing and small businesses, but also even further, that people tend to chase trends because they are the things that give money or because they are the things to do at the time. And just the whole idea of the process that you went with your gut because it was something that you were very passionate about doing, and it became a thing just because of your own effort and passion instead of trying to chase something. I
Yeah.
think it's very admirable, and that's why I'm just like so excited, like smiling and stuff, because I think it's very beautiful to see people that are just genuinely devoted to whatever they're doing being able to make a name for themselves and their business and do something that also like gives joy to other people, because it's wow, like a candle that can transport me. I'm one of those people that, like, if I'm reading a book, I make a playlist that would put me inside that
Yeah.
world. So having the sound and having the visuals and now having the smell, and I think it's something that it probably brings a lot of joy to a lot of people's lives, especially romantasy and romance too, but especially romantasy is a genre that a lot of people go to because they want to forget the world for a little bit. They want to
Yeah.
live in that other place. And this kind of like helps them do it even better. So I just think it's great, and I'm just fangirling. I'm just very excited about,
Thank you so much.
having the opportunity of talking to you and kind of like show you to our community, because I think what you're doing is truly great. And it's pretty much it, not questions, just love.
All right.
Thank you so much. And it is just such a labor of love. Like I love coming to work. My staff seems to love coming to work. And one of the things, all of the candles that we make for books are books we've read. Like we don't have any candles that, at least, and if something isn't my cup of tea, then it's one of my staff members. And like we love what we do and we love the books that we make stuff for. We love the authors that we work with, and that's always been very important to us to put that forward. Um, and yeah, that's been the
Yeah.
heart of who we are since the beginning.
Yeah, we've talked about it on this podcast before. Like it's so important to have a job that you love, because it's harder to call the job. It sounds so cliche, but
Yeah,
it's harder to call the job when you literally enjoy going there. You like the people you're with, you like what you're doing, and
yeah,
your job just sounds. I'm sure it's not always fun, but it sounds fun. Just like mixing those scents, finding those things, reading those books, like
yeah.
it sounds great. Um, so I think we're winding down here, but I'm gonna put you on the spot here.
Okay. Oh,
So StoryForge is a reading and writing website. You
yeah.
can create your own library. We have a mascot who is Draft the cat. You can have other animals. Um, what would our candle smell like?
That is
So I
so
think
on the spot.
I think the strongest note would be parchment.
Okay.
We have a really nice fragrance oil that smells like sort of antique pages. We actually have a candle called Enchanted Library, which is sort of the vibe for Storygraph. But I think something with um, maybe like a fireplacey, smoky note in the background,
Mm.
something that feels like a nice place to curl up, that you would really focus on writing and that kind of thing. I think like a smoky, parchmenty with like a hint of cedar and leather in the background for the bookcases and that kind of thing. I think that would be your candle.
All right. You may be getting a message from StoryForge ordering some candles. We will see. Um,
I love that. I think it's very accurate. I don't know if you've used the platform yet, but I think it's very accurate to our vibe and the whole coziness that
That's
we
yeah, I
always want
did.
to. Yeah.
I was your website is super cool. I was playing around with it, but that's definitely the vibe that I get that you want to sort of curl up and write in front of a fire and work on your story and that kind of thing. So I think that's the right vibe.
yeah. Cozy writing platform and cozy reading platform. That's what we're going for. So,
Yeah.
we're still working at it. We're still in beta, but no, Kate, thank you for being on here. This meant the world to us. Getting to pick your brain, learning something new, being able to share this with our community. Um, so before we go, tell everyone where they can find you, website, socials, anything cool you've got coming up that you want to tell people about.
Absolutely. You can find us at briarwickcandles.com. You can also find us on socials at Instagram and TikTok at Briarwick and on Blue Sky at Briarwick Candles. We have a newsletter. We have a whole bunch of stuff in the works coming out in the next few months that we're really excited about. So make sure and give us a follow and check us out.
Absolutely. So, Kate, we very much appreciate your time. We hope to talk to you again soon. And to everyone out there listening, that's our show for today. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you at the Forge.
Thank you.